Okay, in this short video, we're going to be looking at the cell again, and this is just showing different parts of the cell wall, different parts of the organelles. So let's zoom in on some of these. So on the outer part, we see the cell membrane. In a previous video, it was called the plasma membrane. But remember, it's a phospholipid bilayer. It's made up of fat, it's made up of protein, there's carbohydrates in there. We'll try and move clockwise, so we'll keep it a little bit organized. Now we have the centrosome, which is the black sphere, and then we have the centrioles, which is inside the centrosome. These are the spindles, the yellow spindles. Now we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The white dots that are on it are called ribosomes. And we can see in the other video, it said that the rough endoplasmic reticulum was an extension or continuous with the nuclear envelope. So the white structure here is the nuclear envelope that contains the nuclear pores. Deep to the nuclear envelope is this translucent clear section called the nucleus. And deep to the nucleus, that orange pit, is the nucleolus. Now there was the rough endoplasmic reticulum that had the fixed ribosomes attached to it. But then we have parts that are smooth, like this section here, that's that nice night blue color. There's no ribosomes. This section here that's aqua color is smooth. There are no ribosomes. So that's the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Moving down at about 6 o'clock, that yellow structure is the lysosomes. Remember, that has the digestive enzymes and hydrogens that can clear debris from the cell. So when it opens up and dumps the digestive enzymes and hydrogen, that acidity destroys whatever that pathogen is. Okay, we went over the nuclear envelope that has the nuclear pores. The clear section, the translucent area, is the nucleus that has the genes. It contains the DNA. And we have the nucleolus, which is where your ribosomes and ribosomal RNA is produced. And it pushes it out through the nucleus, out through the nuclear pores. The clear section is the cytosol. The orange layers right here, this is the Golgi complex or Golgi apparatus. This is going to modify those proteins that are produced, and then it's going to push them out. So these are little vesicles. Now, when these little vesicles are produced, one of these can move out this way, and here is that light bulb, that structure that moves towards the wall of the cell membrane, and it opens up and it can release whatever protein is in here. It could release it to the outside of the cell, and that's called exocytosis. Now, it can also take things from outside. It could bring something in, but then it's not called exocytosis. It's called endocytosis. So it could be used to push things out of the cell, but it can also be used to take things in. This is a peroxisome, not to be confused with lysosome. The peroxisomes, these are highly concentrated in the liver that's used for detox. The orange structure is the mitochondria. That's where the Krebs cycle takes place and the electron transport chain. The Krebs cycle produces some ATP, not a lot, but some. But the Krebs cycle, known as the citric acid cycle, is responsible for producing what's called coenzymes. And those coenzymes are shuttled from the Krebs cycle into the electron transport chain. And it is the ETC, or the electron transport chain, that makes all of this ATP and energy. So the Krebs cycle makes some ATP, but not too much. What the Krebs cycle gives off is, after the oxygen comes in, it pushes out carbon dioxide. And that's why we exhale, right? This term for ATP production is called cellular respiration, because it takes in oxygen, but it pushes out carbon dioxide. The oxygen that we take in, the mitochondria takes in. The CO2 that we push out comes from the mitochondria. Okay, so the Krebs cycle needs B vitamins. It makes the coenzymes. It pushes off CO2. And the coenzymes go into the electron transport chain. And that ETC, or electron transport chain, makes the majority of the cell's ATP. And that's why we need iron. And that's why, if you're iron deficient or you're anemic, you have no energy, because how is the mitochondria, or the electron transport chain of the mitochondria, making energy, or ATP? It has a very, very difficult job doing so. Okay, so now that we've covered the structures, now it's just zooming in on them. So here is the peroxisome. Here is the mitochondria. This right here is a secretory vessel, because it can secrete proteins outside of the cell. It can also take things in. When it releases it, it's exocytosis. When it takes something in, endocytosis. This is another secretory vessel, because these vesicles, or vessels, can move to the cell membrane and secrete something. It's a protein, whatever that protein is. Maybe the protein is a digestive enzyme. Maybe the protein is a hormone. Maybe the protein is a neurotransmitter. Then we have the Golgi apparatus that's going to modify the proteins. One of the proteins that it can produce, it pushes it out, and they become these secretory vessels. And they can move to the cell membrane and secrete their substance, or it can use some of these proteins to recycle the cell membrane. There's options there. There are options. The clear structure is the cytosol. That's the clear fluid. There's your cell membrane. The black is the centrosome. The spindles are the centrioles. We're going to see these in a few minutes when we show you the video on cellular division known as mitosis. Here is the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the rough ER, the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The white structure is the nuclear envelope. The holes that are within it are called nuclear pores. It's superficial to the clear translucent layer. You'll want to add that there. That's called the nucleus. And then the orange pit, where the ribosomal RNA is produced, is the nucleolus. Ribosomal RNA, nucleolus. Nucleus produces it's where the DNA is, the template or the instructions for what proteins need to be made to give someone brown hair or blue eyes or green eyes, right? And then on the bottom here, we have a lysosome. It's where the digestive enzymes are and hydrogens to clear and remove debris. Here's the rough ER. This is smooth ER, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The gray one is a peroxisome. Yellow one is a lysosome.
Are these